A fan base has been waiting 33 years for someone to say this. The Flin Flon Bombers are 2026 CANTERRA SEEDS Cup champions after sweeping the Yorkton Terriers. When was it? I don't even know. I've lost track of all time. Thursday night it was, for sure. But it was a fantastic series, fantastic showing by the entire Flin Flon Bombers organization. All of those fans that A, showed up huge at the Whitney Forum, but then B, traveled down or showed up, found a way to get to the rink and celebrated with the team on the ice, as you saw in that kind of montage video there at the beginning of the show. There was, I'm going to say hundreds, plural, of people who were showing up and they came on the ice to celebrate with the team. So what a night, what a weekend for them, for that whole community, and congratulations once again to the Flin Flon Bombers, SJHL champions 2026. And huge shout out and congrats to the Yorkton Terriers as well for a wonderful and fantastic season. I know that's not a huge consolation, but at the same time, an unbelievable season from them. And everybody should be proud of that team as well. Today's show is brought to you, of course, by our good friends at UPL. Today we're going to analyze how that series went down, of course, in that 4-game sweep by the Bombers, and we're going to be joined by 3 guests today. Usually it's 1. If we're lucky, sometimes we go with 2, but today we're going 3. We got Mike Reagan joining us, head coach and general manager of the Bombers. He'll actually be second in the order. First in the order is going to be Connor Miller, the UPL playoff MVP. And then later on in the show, defenseman Xavier Fauchon, who had a huge role in this team's success in the playoffs, and we'll tell you about that a little bit later on too. But let's thank our sponsors today: CANTERRA Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Canalta Hotels, SGEU, SAS Lotteries, UPL, Chevrolet, Great Western Brewing Company, SaskTel, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, and Vaderstad. And if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, please make sure to hit the like button, the share button, and send in your comments. Send in whatever you want to say. Congrats to the Bombers, congrats to the Terriers. Send them in today. We want to show as many comments as we can on the screen at the bottom here. So make sure it's appropriate and be nice. But obviously we want to congratulate everybody for a great season. Joining me today, another guy who had a great season, maybe one of your best seasons yet. Jamie Neugebauer, the man himself. Jamie, thanks for joining me. Of course, as you mentioned on Twitter, the people wanted us to do a show today, and we were going to do one anyway. So here we are.
Yeah, someone looked at us. I forget where we were. A Bombers fan,
yeah.
And everybody, Yorkton fans, Bombers fans. You stopped Clark and I, and I'm sure Kyle, and all the people that worked around, and were just so kind. So thank you so much to everybody that stopped us and said hello. It means the world to us to do this. So that was cool. Yeah. Also, I got to say, one of the people that worked at Bamboo Shoots during the finals had a decibel meter on the fans from in both Yorkton and Flin Flon at the Whitney Forum and Westland Arena. Yeah. And both fan bases were terrific. Yeah. So the loudest recorded sound in human history was the volcano explosion of the island of Krakatoa in 1883 in Indonesia, and that was 310 decibels. Dang. Which is loud, very loud. I think the loudest we got in these finals was about 120 decibels. Yeah, so like a third of the loudest sound in human history. Yeah. For these SJHL finals, the fan bases came out. It was packed. It was awesome.
Now, was that in Yorkton or was that in Flin Flon?
The volcano did not explode.
Oh, right.
They were both around like the loudest sound recorded over that thing was like 150. There was like an average, obviously, which was a little lower, but that includes
on the broadcast.
Yeah, I wouldn't have included that. That's not up to me. But anyways, there was like a loudest on the right side, and it was like 117, 115, something around those range. And the loudest is 310. So
yeah, pretty good.
Not bad.
Not too bad.
There's some history for you.
Thank you. You know what? He dropped a Napoleon Bonaparte quote in one of the broadcasts in the finals, and I was behind the bench, and I just threw my hands up. I'm like, how do I compete with that? That's a Napoleon. I was gonna try to bring up like a General Eisenhower quote from World War II, but I was like, it's too late. I'm going onto the bench to talk to Mike Reagan in 2 seconds. I can't pull that off. So anyways, shout out to Nugsy for that. All right. Main reason we're here, we're going to kind of just discuss and analyze. Well, obviously, we're not previewing anything quite yet. The Centennial Cup is still 2 weeks away. We don't even know the full field yet. So we'll talk a little bit about the Centennial Cup later on in the show. But for now, we're kind of just going to recap and analyze how this series went. I don't think a lot of people necessarily saw a sweep happening. Even after Game 1, when Flin Flon ended up winning 7-3, I think we all kind of said, that was kind of a messy game. The series is far from over. Game 2, a 3-0 shutout. It was kind of like, Flin Flon played really good, but Yorkton had some moments. Like, this series is far from over. I think at every moment, we're like, well, we're not going to count Yorkton out because they've done things before during the season where, they've come back from weird ones. They've won games late. They've done all sorts of stuff. So this was a series that, despite it being a sweep, felt a lot closer and felt like it wasn't necessarily lopsided either. Now, some of the numbers that Nugsy is going to show you in a little bit might say otherwise, but we'll look at that in a sec. So Nugsy, let's start with having a look at how we got here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry for...
No, go ahead.
Yeah, obviously, we saw their first title since 1993. You can go to my Twitter, and I posted a little video of the last time they won. Of course, they beat Melville in 1993.
Yeah, that looked wild.
That was crazy. I'm sure that was crazy. There you go, a little Mike Reagan running around. There you go. Yeah, it was a sweep, as you see there. But as you said, there was plenty to like about the way that the Yorkton Terriers played. But I just think, if we're gonna do this genuinely, I think we have to say sort of how did it happen? How was it that the Bombers, swept them? And I think the main thing I can say is from the Yorkton side, first and foremost, it wasn't a lack of effort or commitment, whatever. It was just not on time. That was the biggest thing, is they were playing from behind all series. It was 1-0, in games 1 and 3 before you could blink. It was 1-0 in game 2, I think 4 minutes in. In game 4, it did last all the way until you can switch forward to game 4 if you want, till the third period, and that was certainly the best game the Terriers played, back up against the wall, very even scoring chances. But if you look at the scoring chances throughout the whole series, it was 61-42 in favor of Flin Flon. Pretty cool. Obviously, the footage by Connor Tate is always absolutely spectacular, and obviously can't thank him enough for his work. As you're seeing here, some of the highlights from Game 4 there in Yorkton. But Alejandro Montoya, thrust into that situation, playing Game 4 as a rookie for the Terriers. He was terrific, Clark. But at the end of the day, I think Mike Reagan looks at his tool belt. He straps on his toolkit before every game, and he looks at his roster, and he's just got every type of tool that you could want to win in a playoff series, to win in a long, season. Obviously we'll talk about the Centennial Cup and the Bombers' chances in that, a little bit today and more in next Thursday. But every piece of the Bombers' tool kit came to play, and they were locked in, starting with Charlie Tritt, who obviously had 2 shutouts. He was outstanding. Connor Miller, who was the playoff MVP. Look at this beautiful, goal to get the game winner. And then I can't get over the second goal, by Reed Arbery's little setup to Morozov. Obviously, both goals set up Morozov and Arbery together. And obviously, we'll talk about Fauchon. Here's that goal. Morozov, end-to-end, dipsy doodle, little take out the D-man, little move by Arbery backdoor. That was as beautiful a goal. And I even messaged Reed Arbery. I said, I can't get over that. I tweeted it also. I can't get over that beautiful that was. But
yeah, that was
if you're a Yorkton fan, maybe look away. But Clark,
I was in the corner for that one, and I was just like, what just happened? That was insane.
But Clark, would you agree with the point that the Bombers played perfect hockey? Less than the Terriers lost it, the Bombers played perfect hockey for 4 games.
Yeah, it definitely, even in the games that got a little wilder in terms of the scores, I felt like overall that's generally how they wanted those moments to go.
It was in control.
In the first game, they scored 2 goals within the first 6 minutes of the game or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it seemed like from that moment on, they were kind of just dangling a carrot for Yorkton. Like, hey, come get it. And then, Yorkton did end up scoring a few goals, especially during that, 45-second stretch there in game 1. But it seemed like it was kind of always Flin Flon dictating certain things throughout each game, especially games 2 and 4. Like you mentioned, I thought game 4, like you said, was Yorkton's best game. They really came out and played well. They got, like you said, I think the shots were about even. Things were going really well. They had some chances. Charlie Tritt stood tall. And then, I was talking to Dustin Nearing, former Yorkton Terrier, two-time champion as well in the early 2000s there with Yorkton. And he said, this game's going really either way. It's going to be a bounce. It's going to be somebody making a tiny mistake that, in another game wouldn't matter, but it's going to matter here. And that's kind of how it ended up happening. It was just like Flin Flon found a lane, they got a shot, ended up getting that first goal, and from there on, they kind of dictated it again.
And I think, again, in fairness to Yorkton, this team, I look at the Terriers roster, and obviously they have a few 20-year-olds that were very important. Obviously, Jai Zawatsky, Talon Henriksen, Riley Cormier. You kind of go down. They had a few 20-year-olds that were important, but most of their roster can return. And when you have a team that is slightly younger, especially in our league, they tend to be lighter. They tend to be a little bit, skill forward versus heavy forward. Bombers, again, Mike Reagan yelled at us, we got lots of skill, we're going to score lots of goals. And you know what, fair enough. We can put up the head-to-head stats if you guys don't mind throwing up that graphic. 18 goals in 4 games is pretty good. 18 to 6 is the bigger number. 1 for 11 is the bigger number. The Bombers stifled them hard. They were, on the front foot. Landon Alexander and his Bash boys there with the Bombers just hit the, the Terriers. Landon Alexander, Clark, had 21 hits recorded in 4 games. Just unbelievable stuff. Connor Miller, the playoff MVP.
Depending on who you ask, some of the Bomber staff said that Landon Alexander had 21 hits in the first game.
Yeah, they, it is what it is.
On how you measure those.
So obviously I use Instat a lot for my stats, I'll be honest. And obviously Instat isn't perfect, but it does send a good ballpark. I mean, Instat says Landon Alexander out-hit everybody. And what the number exactly is, how many block shots Reed Arbery had, blah, blah, blah. Like, my point isn't to be precise with numbers. My point is to paint
even
the picture.
21 hits in 4 games is
still
fantastic.
insane. And Landon was unplayable. And, he had just played game 7 of the Weyburn series, and that was all he had played. And he did not look like he had missed a beat. He came out absolutely flying. Now, again, the last point I'll make here, and I know that our first guest is ready, but the last point I'll make right now, too, is, and I'm sure if there's a Yorkton fan out there, you can yell at me if you want. I understand it's an emotional time. Like, I get it. You can be angry. If you want to blame it and point it at me, that's totally fine.
Yeah, you're the reason.
I wonder if the big line of Corshane and Leonard and Zawatsky, as good as they were in moments, I wonder if there was a fatigue element with how much those guys were relied on and played. They had depth, and I really loved Austin Horbaczewski's series, for example. He opened a lot of eyes.
He stood out.
And whatnot, but they relied on those guys a lot, whereas like Flin Flon, they have, Arbery and Miller and whoever plays with them. If it's Morozov, that was obviously magic. But
I think somebody different played on that line almost every game.
So often, right?
Ryder Muka was one night.
Whereas Mike Reagan this is our number 1 line tonight. Whatever. Like, this is our line.
But I was having a good conversation.
You have to decide the first line after the game for the Bombers. Before the game what the Terriers' first line was.
Right. So I was talking to our graphic designer, Kelly Lewick, before this morning when we got here. And we were kind of discussing it. And you mentioned the importance of how Landon Alexander played. Landon Alexander, Rhett Ewan, and Wyatt Stinton were the perfect disrupting line. They were put together. I know that they didn't quite play together all throughout the playoffs because of certain guys in and out of the lineup, but once they were together in these finals, it was almost like they opened up the ice for Reed Arbery to go out there, Connor Miller to do something. And then they opened up the ice again, and then Joey Lees would pop in game 3 and score a goal. And then they opened up the ice again. Daniel Morozov had a big game in game 4. So, it seemed like that line, maybe they didn't lead the team in points, but the importance and the role that line played, it didn't seem like Yorkton could really match that. Tylen Henriksen, he deserves a lot of kudos. The effort that he displayed was impressive. And you're mentioning the 20-year-olds compared to the rest of how young Yorkton actually is. After the game on the ice, it was Tylen Henriksen, Vinny Junek, Riley Cormier, and Jai Zawatsky wasn't there because I think he was talking to somebody at the time, Tyler Palin. It was 4 or 5 of them. And they were all together, went over and said, what a good season. And then you and I talked to Gavin Bartha later on that night. He came out, he got hurt. Obviously, there's some controversy there. We don't have to necessarily get into that right now. But we were talking to him, and he's like, guys, we're loading up again. Like, we're doing this again. And he had some confidence in that. And you think of him, you think of Tommy Reese, you think of like Drew Heil looked good this series several times. But you think
Buckley,
of
I love Brett Buckley's series.
You know,
because he's a physical kid.
You mentioned Corshane, you mentioned Leonard, Evan Ald. Hopefully, I know he had an injury. Hopefully, he's back.
Well, they missed him.
They missed him for sure. I think that was maybe an underrated
and after the trade
storyline.
deadline, I said, okay, like they have these super players, and they have these super character, gritty depth kids who are young on Yorkton. Are they gonna miss having a second line sort of centerman? And obviously they believed in Ald, and for good reason. And Ald had a terrific season. And talk about a kid that changed the perception of himself. In my eyes, this season, Evan Ald is near the top there. I think the number one guy for me that changed his perception for me is Reed Arbery from the start to the finish. But Ald is close to that too. So
don't hate that.
So the Terriers, I think they missed a little bit of depth. I think that's what happens too when you see, and as good as young DJ Brass and Trey Peterson, these APs coming in, as good as they are, and if you're Emery Lawson, you got to say, yeah, please play for us if you're willing. But I wouldn't say that's an ideal situation. Maybe not in our league. In other leagues where it's maybe not as heavy, not as the travel, etc. Maybe you see that a lot in the OJHL. You see that a lot in other leagues. But in our league, it's tough. And so hey, the Yorkton Terriers will be back. I don't think it'll take too long. Emery Lawson, everybody kept saying how good of a job he was doing. In the interviews you did, and you did a wonderful job doing all those interviews. And hey, the Terriers have a lot to keep their heads up and be proud of. But this was not their year, clearly.
And you know what is an interesting thing, and I don't know if you know this off the top of your head. We are going to get to our guest in like 35 seconds, I promise. But both teams didn't have a full slate of 20-year-olds this year, I don't think. What did Flin Flon play with in Game 4? I don't think they had 8.
I do my prep, and then I do the shows, and then it's out of my...
But we think of Yorkton, like they had the 5, and they were very important players, obviously, but they only had the 5.
I was thinking about, to your point, though, the Bombers' most skilled guys, like they have guys that can play everything. We talked about it. But could you say their most pure offensively skilled guys are Daniel Morozov and Wyatt Stinton, probably? And then you put Connor Miller in there, and none of those guys are 20 years old. 20 years old. Now, obviously, on the back end, it's a little different. Fauchon, Ward, Knutson, those are all 20-year-olds. Their back end is maybe a little bit older.
I'm counting right now in my head.
But to your point, again, I think in 2026, you need to be a little bit younger. We're just a bit younger as a league, and I think that's also reflected in the final. I'm not saying it was like a U18 Yorkton Terriers team and a really old Flin Flon team. I just think there was depth, and both of these teams are both going to be good. Obviously, when are the Bombers ever not good?
Okay, so they did have 8 20s. But I think where I was in, I had Sam Ward only played 2 games before Game 4. Joey Lees was out for a weird chunk of time, in and out. So they had a couple of 20s were hurt. So I think that's where my head was at. But still, very impressive, and they still have a ton of pieces that they could even come back next year too. So,
well, you got to build for the
we'll keep that in mind. But I guess end of the day, what we're saying is kudos to Yorkton, but of course, huge shout out to the Flin Flon Bombers. Well, why don't we talk to the guy who knew Xavier?
MVP. Bring him in.
I don't know if you know, but this guy is the playoff
this guy's
MVP.
hat.
We had a funny moment where Connor was talking to somebody in the celebration. I'm like, I don't know if you guys know, but this is playoff MVP Connor Miller. Connor,
that's how we should address him from now on, eh? That's the type of kid you are, right? Knows that you want to be recognized.
You probably
You're all about yourself, and I'm obviously kidding. He's totally the opposite.
He hates this. He hates this. Connor, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, can't hear him. I can pretend to be him.
Do you have your mic? There we go. I think I heard him.
Oh, we got you now. We got you.
Yeah, now we're good. We're good.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right.
Can you hear us?
Yep, we're good.
Let's
Nailed
go.
it. All right, Connor. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So obviously, I'm sure the weekend was a bit of a whirlwind for you guys. The video of you guys getting off the bus and the town kind of chanting everything and cheering you guys on as you got off. Talk to me about the moment where you guys returned to the Whitney Forum.
Yeah, that was something special. We were actually a little early, so we stopped for a few minutes. But no, we came around the corner and we seen cars lined up down the street all over the rink, and then as we pulled into the parking lot, the bus just got swarmed by people, and it was special. It was something you've never seen before, and it's been a long time since it's happened here. And just the congratulations from everyone it was unbelievable to see the support.
Yeah, would have been a pretty cool moment up there for sure. Walk us through that game 4, Connor. We didn't talk so much about games 1 through 3 in this show yet, but we did kind of focus in on game 4 and the grind of how that game went. Obviously, nothing going into the third period. Could have gone either way. Maybe should have gone either way. Like, there was some chances for Yorkton too in there. Talk to us about that game and just where it all went, where it all changed for you guys.
Yeah, just the first 2 periods, it was a chess match. The whole game was a chess match, and we stuck to our game plan. What we stick to what was working and just kept going at it, and eventually something was going to break, right?
Yeah.
Whether it was Yorkton's way or our way, and Munroe, awesome shot from the point there, and it somehow finds the back of the net. Like, that's when we got an extra jolt of energy there, and we just knew we weren't going to be stopped. And then 2 shifts later, he goes and gets another one. That's really when the boys locked it down, and we were going to defend until that buzzer went.
Yeah, really, really impressive stuff. I got to ask you, Connor, obviously, at the trade deadline, and we've talked about this till we're blue in the face, but you and Knutson and Charlie Tritt come from the Broncos to the Bombers, and your first thought for sure, I remember talking to you at that moment, was we're going to go and win a championship. Did everything, the emotions, the feelings, the enjoyment of all of this, did it match what you expected, or has it even exceeded what you expected?
I don't think there was an expectation for it, right? It kind of just, when it happened, and you're just flooded with so many things, going around hugging the guys, everyone's crying. It was just, the emotions were so high, and the excitement, there's just a mix of everything, right? And it exceeded whatever was in our heads before that.
Yeah, unbelievable. I was kind of joking in sort of the post-game celebration with, I think it was Nathan Mounier, and I was talking about, every time I talk to any of you guys on the Bombers team, you guys always give genuinely, like, the right answer about being a teammate, and it's not about me, and it's not about my stats, and it's not about my accolades. I guess just take us inside that room. Like, how special is it, this bond that you guys have as you go and try to win all of Canada?
Yeah, it's something I've never been a part of before. It was tight. The day we walked in there, been there all year, right? Just the only hard part was learning everybody's name when we first got here. But no, everyone was the same. Everyone hung out all the time. Like Rags always said, our first line, second line, third line, fourth line, we don't have one. We don't have a first pairing D, second or third. We don't have a starting goalie. It's everyone was equal, right? And like you guys said, depended on the night, depended on our first line, right? And that's just kind of by committee. And no matter the age, it was, yeah, just special. Just special.
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking this morning just about a few things, how the games all went, and our graphic designer sent us the top 10 playoff scoring leaders, and it was, you're in 6th place. Usually, the playoff MVP, for example, might be top 2, top 3, top scorer. And I think when I pulled you aside after the game, first of all, I was like, I hate pulling you out of here, Connor, but can I chat with you quick? You were able to come over. And I said to you in the interview, this feels like a team full of MVPs. And I think that kind of really sums up your roster this year. It didn't seem like anyone necessarily stood out from the rest of the group, and everybody needed each other to be successful. Can you talk about that and maybe just elaborate on that aspect of this team this year?
Yeah, the MVP thing, that's just the team, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I put on the same line all playoffs. I think it was with someone new, and everyone stepped up to the plate when it was their turn to bat. Some games it was our young guys, they were our depth, and they went at it, and they were the spark that we needed. Our goaltending some days, the defense, our other forward lines, it was all by committee, and every night it was someone new. And just even like Schrader, how many shutouts you have in the playoffs? 4?
Yeah, I think it was
Finner
4,
had
yeah.
1
Yeah.
or something like that. I'm not too sure, but we took so much pride in defending. So I'd say the MVP of the playoffs should have been our our defending side. Like we just defended and defended and defended. And when our opportunity came for offense, we made them pay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Millsy, we got to pick somebody, right? It's part of the job. We got to have picks. No, you did well. And obviously, you know, I'm all about around
and also,
here.
Connor, you did lead the entire playoffs in goals. So, I mean...
in goals, and obviously...
I know you're humble, but...
As you know, Millsy, like, I try to highlight stats that aren't, like, the goals and assists always, too. Like, the face-offs and the blocks and all those things. And obviously, you know, that's a big piece of it. Now, you know, I got to ask you, and again, I had a really... I love that, like, post-game interview, like, talking to guys just sort of, like, off... like not on a show, or whatever. You're just having conversations. And I was talking to a guy on the team, Daniel Morozov, and he was just talking about, you know, how much, you know, Regs helped him grow his game, you know, from the Western League where he was, and now, you know, he's with the Bombers, and how much he grew his game from Regs. Obviously, you know, pretty short period of time, and you can include Team Canada if you want when you played for Regs there, but how do you think specifically, if you're able to answer this question, Regs has helped you, you know, in your game?
Oh man, he's helped a lot. Even every coach I've had is something different, but just the simplicity of the game from Regs, and he gets a lot from a lot of his friends and stuff that he's coached with or coached against. He picks up little things from everyone, right? And this year, the piece of the puzzle all fell in together, and it just, the simplicity of the playing, getting to the blue paint, getting pucks on net, chipping pucks instead of making a play at the blue line and just going after them. And we really emphasized Paul Maurice's little video last year on the bench when he's telling his team to pound the D and forget the plays. And we really took that to heart and just go after him. And that's something I really took away from Regs.
Yeah, for sure. Last one from me, Millsy. Really appreciate your time. I gotta, you know, ask you about, you know, facing, you know, the Yorkton Terriers. I know, you know, you know better than me, like the weaponry that they have and they brought in, and they can even bring back. And I know you're all focused on your own team, but you know, you guys must have had to really be locked in to take that type of a team down. I'm sure on the ice it was not as simple as a sweep in for you guys.
Yeah, no, it honestly reminded me of the Estevan series, right? They had 3 of the top 5-point guys, 10-point guys in the league. I'm not too sure, but we took care of them, and that just shows our defending ability. And we shut them down, shut their power play down, and even Yorkton got a couple power play goals. But it's going to happen at some point, right? But we just knew we had to. When they're on the ice, you just got to know who you're up against, and we didn't care who was out there. Sometimes top line the night was out there, or the guys that were struggling were out there, but they got the job done, and that's what the team we had. It didn't matter who was on the ice, no matter the weaponry they had. We weren't too concerned.
So I guess the focus now shifts out east, and you haven't obviously left yet. You probably won't leave until, I'm guessing, next week. But I guess, have you guys had any time to like get back into hockey mode yet, or has it kind of been? It's only Monday. You guys only won a few days ago, so I'm sure that there was a couple of days given off. But what's the focus now shifting to for the next step? Because it's not over yet.
Yeah, no. Today we got back on the ice today, and it's just another work day. We got 5 days of practice here, and then I believe we have our banquet thing Saturday. But I think we might skate in the morning, so give us 6 days of practice, and then head out and catch the plane. But it's just a work week. It's not going to change from what it's looked like all playoffs. We got stuff to do, and we're going to get it done.
Love that. Well, Connor, we're going to let you go. Thanks for joining us today. Good luck in the prep, and we'll see you out on the ice out east.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
There we go. Connor Miller, playoff.
This guy,
UPL playoff.
Look, this guy, Miller, and anytime you or I need like any help, any sort of thing, like a quote, a conversation,
a tire change,
like, man, committed to Augustin, NCAA D1, like those coaches have to be over the moon, and just a human being that he is.
Yeah.
again, like just the type of person that we want in our league. And if there's kids out there watching, like be like Connor Miller, like absolutely an incredible guy.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Definitely. All right, we're gonna hit a break, and I just got word that our next guest is in. So when we come back from the break, Mike Reagan of the Flin Flon Bombers will be joining us. Yeah, well, he's just
legend.
A
legend.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you after the break.
The Price Beat Guarantee is back at Capital GMC in Regina. We will beat any price on any new vehicle from any competitor, or you get $500 cash guaranteed. The Price Beat Guarantee at Capital GMC in Regina.
At Vatterstad, we're partnering with North American farmers to create the perfect emergence. We're doing this with new and innovative tillage, planting, and seeding solutions, optimized for the field conditions that you face, and with industry-leading capacities to help you get the job done in short windows of time, so you can maximize yields. Vatterstad, we look forward to growing together.
Mister.
Every ticket you buy funds programs all across Saskatchewan, like sports. Buy your tickets today.
In the last decade, the construction industry has reduced injuries by 46%. That's as many injuries prevented that would fill several stadiums. Find out more at scsaonline.ca.
Feeling like your dreams are out of reach? RBC has programs and resources to help you open the door. With RBCX Music, RBC Training Ground, and RBC Scholarships, your idea of your highest potential happens here.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
We're going to have to get that intro updated with the Flin Flon Bombers hosting the Cup.
That's right.
Can't have Melfort hoisting the Cup anymore.
No. Especially not given that it was the Bombers who won it.
Right.
They don't like each other.
No.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Anyways, let's go back onto the video chat line now as we're joined by, I'm going to say it, SJHL champion, coach, and general manager, Mike Reagan. Mike, we had a great chat after the game was over. Obviously, it was kind of it felt like maybe a bit of more of a relief moment than a exuberant joy moment, I think, if you don't mind me saying. How has it been over the weekend? Again, getting back home, what was that all like for you?
Very emotional, to be honest with you, when we rolled into the Whitney Forum parking lot and, you know, there's 200 fans there, just was incredible. And it's probably where, you know, the most emotional time for us was. You know, I know for me, it just was great to see our fans and, you know, see the joy on their face and the relief on their face as well. You know, I feel like a few people have asked me how I feel, and I feel like the whole weight of the smokestack has been lifted off my shoulders. And I feel like that's kind of the sentiment around town here is just, everybody's just so happy. And for us to be able to do this for our community, it's been a long time waiting, and it's been a lot of fun, you know, 72 hours waking up with a smile every day and, you know, walking around and just seeing everybody's joy has been incredible.
So obviously the big storyline was the 33-year in between the 1993 championship and this one. For yourself, it was Forgive me for dating you, Mike, but 18 or 19 years of coaching to get to this point. So again, walk me through that game 4. When you were on the bench there, we saw your reaction when it all happened, but let's rewind a little bit. What was going through your head, I guess, at the end of the second period? Talk to us about the 0-0 going into the third. What was going through your head in that moment?
Well, it's funny because I'll even back up further. I watched warm-ups and I saw the intent on our players. You know, I've always been a guy that preaches, you know, your warm-up is there's a purpose to it. You know, it's called a warm-up for a reason. Get ready for the game. And there's some guys that go out there and they just try to look pretty and that sort of thing. And I haven't seen our guys buzz around like that in a warm-up for maybe ever, you know. So I had a really good feeling that the guys wanted it, and before the game I had told them that you guys are going to dictate whether we win tonight or not, and all the X's and O's and the coaching isn't going to be the reason why we win tonight. It's going to be your determination, and your heart will lead you to the championship if you want it to. So as the game went on, you know, I thought that we had some good chances. You know, and we didn't capitalize on them. And then it's just funny, you know, Munroe, right before he went out for that shift, I said, let's go, Munroe, let's get her going, sort of thing. I probably used a few different words than that, but he goes out there and scores an amazing goal. And just watching it in slow-mo is incredible. You know, Reed Arbery kind of throws a little bit of a flash screen in there, and that puck goes in, and it was just, I mean, I felt great after that. I was pretty confident that the boys, like Millsy said, would lock it down. And then the incredible play by Reed Arbery on the second goal, you know, to be able to avoid that hit and then be able to find Munroe backdoor. That was the nicest goal of the series, I think. And we didn't score a lot of highlight reel goals. I think we got a lot of blue paint goals, and that's been something that we've preached from day one, is in the playoffs you need blue paint goals, and the guys definitely bought into that, and we scored a lot of those. And then it's just the last goal of the series was just a highlight reel and amazing, you know.
Yeah, I think your nicest goal before that one would have been Braden Bruce's goal in Game 1, and that's not saying much.
Not if you're at Yorkton.
But again, we don't care about how they're scored. It's just that you scored them. Yeah. Anyways, I just thought that was funny. It's a good point, though.
So you know, again, I know, Mike, you're going to say we got a deep team full of MVPs, and that is true. We're not disputing that. But we had to pick somebody, so we picked Connor Miller, and I hold that that's a great pick, and I'm sure you would agree. So maybe tell us, you know, in your mind, why Connor Miller would be also one of your many great candidates to be an MVP of this playoffs.
Well, throughout the playoffs, I mean, he was just so consistent. You know, he was in every series he scored. You know, and I think he led our team in scoring in each series, like as far as goals scored. So then I look at over the span of the entire run, you know, he was probably our most consistent player that way. Obviously, Tritter, 4 shutouts. I mean, when you say that, you kind of wonder, like, how does he not win MVP with 4 shutouts? You know. And Finn had 1 as well, so we had 5 shutouts in the run. But I just think that, you know, Millsy consistently scored for us, and you know, when you look at over the span of the series, the run, he was most consistent. So very happy for him. And obviously, like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's one guy in that dressing room that cares whether they got the MVP or not, you know. And it's just, that's the type of team we have.
Maybe if we did have to pick an MVP, Mike, obviously Charlie would be a great pick, but we have to spend some words on Mr. Rob Hart. I know CFAN, his radio station, you know, posted that he's going to be a Hall of Famer in the SJHL and for Flin Flon, and we'll make a big deal of that. But I guess just talk about, you know, Rob Hart. You and him have had all sorts of moments together over the years, but again, unassuming, humble guy. I don't need to tell you. I just, you know, what does Rob Hart mean to you?
And he got into the handshake line.
And he got into the handshake line.
Which is, like, to me, the best part of it.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Well, I think it's just kind of, what our franchise is all about, like perseverance, and he deserves this as much as every player on the team, and he's been through a lot of heartaches, and he's been along for the ups and downs, and we're a family here, and that means everybody's involved in it. So for him to get that opportunity, and to you see him put that cup over his head, and the emotions that flood through him. And well, you guys know he's a very passionate guy.
Yeah.
Actually, he was just in the office here talking about the itinerary for us heading out there and stuff like that. And he's all fired up still. And so, it's just a great moment for him, and really happy that he got to experience this. And I'm happy that we got to do it together. I mean, he came back to Flin Flon and started calling games when I was an 18-year-old, so him and I have been together for a long time. We're kind of like brothers, and, and so for him to be a part of it is just really special.
We were talking a little bit earlier, and you might have heard it, but we were talking about how neither team really had a full docket of 20-year-olds. And I know that was something that we talked about with you, Mike, earlier this season, was despite, where you are in the standings and everything, you still felt like you had one of your younger teams that you've ever iced. And that even throughout this entire playoffs, you didn't have a full slate of 8 20-year-olds on the ice until Sam Ward came back in Game 4. Can you talk about just the youth, but also the experience and the depth of the roster that you were able to put together this year? Because it was a unique combination if you really look at it.
Yeah, it was. Heading into this year, I think we only had 5 20-year-olds, which was kind of nice, because you could see where the team was at and where you had to fill some holes maybe.
Yeah.
And heading into the deadline, we only had 7, so we knew we could add one more 20-year-old. And then obviously we moved out a 20-year-old and brought in a 20-year-old. So, for us, it goes back to, we started exhibition, we went 7-0 in exhibition, and then we won our first 6 games. And so we hadn't, and I know it's exhibition, but we hadn't felt defeat. And then when we lost that first game on the road, it was adversity, and it was like, how are these guys going to handle it? And then we lost 5 in a row, and we thought, geez, maybe we're just a little bit too young right now. Maybe next year is kind of our year. And we did have those discussions that, our young guys like Wyatt Stinton and Muka and Leo Seitz and these young guys, are they ready to handle the load? And then when we were able to bust out of that slump and kind of get on a run, you could see the guys mature right before your eyes. Mm-hmm. And then it was just one of those things. The guys started believing in themselves and really grew up and bought in. And it's been one of the most enjoyable years of my life as a coach. And obviously you're going to say that when you win, but I could have told you this in February, that I've had so much fun coaching this group, because they're like sponges. They want more. And I've never seen a group that just buys into what you preach. You always have guys that are always questioning, why are we doing this, or why, and you don't get that full buy-in, but not with this group of guys. And it just goes to show that, early on, we preached that we don't have a first line, we don't have a fourth line, we don't have a first pairing defense core or the third string. And both goaltenders, we absolutely believe in both them. And I think that the guys really ran with that. When you preach that, nobody's thinking, oh, I'm on the first line, I should be on the first power play unit and stuff like that. And I think that's a credit to the guys, is that there was no superstar on this team that just thought he was better than other guys and deserved more ice time than anyone else. And like I think Millsy was saying, he's right. He didn't play with the same line mates the entire playoffs, and it was one of those things where going into Game 4, I said, hey, Millsy, I'm going to move you with these 2 guys. And then we moved Rito back up with Munroe and Joey, who have played together a lot of the year. And
busy guy getting a phone call.
Got a phone call. Yeah,
He'll be back in a sec.
We got to mention too. I mean, Joey Lees. We talk about special teams being so important in goaltending. Obviously, is number one. We knew that Charlie would do that.
Yeah.
But special teams, like this team didn't have their best power play guy in Joey Lees until game 3.
Yeah.
And how healthy was he? I don't even know. He scored a power play goal, I think, in game 3 right away. Obviously, didn't waste too much time. And then obviously, you look at their bunch of D-men, probably the most purely skilled offensive D-men is probably Sam Ward, and they didn't have him until game 4.
Right.
And they still went, 6 for 18 on the power play.
Yeah.
So again, just kudos
just
again
bring him
all
back
around
in whenever he's
in
back
terms of
here,
role for these guys to find a way. There you go, Mike.
Yeah. You can finish your
Sorry
thought.
about that.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Yeah.
I got a phone call in, so it disrupted our link here. I think I was just saying that Millsy kind of was moved around a little bit even in the last game there, and everybody just bought into that. So it's just a testament to the guys.
I asked you a couple of times during the series, in between on the benches during the game, how important that you mentioned. Obviously, no first, fourth line. It was kind of just wherever you were, you played your role, you got your ice time, and things went well. Rhett Ewan, Wyatt Stinton, and Landon Alexander, they were together the whole series. They were together for as long as they were all healthy. They were usually together. And it seemed like, to me, I was telling Nugsy this earlier, they felt like your most important line. Maybe they didn't score all the goals. They scored a few. But maybe they felt like, to me, they were the ones that set the tone at the start of every game, when you needed them to, middle of the game. It seemed like they were the guys. Can you tell me about these three guys and what make them work so well together?
Well, we threw them together last year, and it was amazing that what a difference that it made. The confidence between the three of them. And at the beginning of this year, I had tried to split up that line a little bit and see if we could. I don't want to say balance, because it's not balance. It's just Yui and Lando are such physical presences, and if I could have one of them on their own line and the other one, a second line with those two big bodies that intimidate, defensemen, and that would be my preference. But we went back to it. We just couldn't. How do you break up that line? They just they feed off of each other, and they play so well together. And when you got natural chemistry like that, like it's, I think it's a little bit crazy to try to split them up. So we found that with a couple lines, like Maverick Delisle and Marty played a bunch of the year together. They seem to have good chemistry, and Hudson Brehut played with them a majority of the year too. Unfortunately, he got hurt in the playoffs and that, and I think he was healthy, the last couple games, but we were rolling as it was, so we didn't want to change up too much and that, but they just feed off of each other, and it's a lot of fun to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of fun, and I made a joke about Wyatt Stinton having his two big brothers to deal with, to be the bullies, actually, to just to give him that little space, because obviously he's such a special player. But obviously, you mentioned Ryder Muka's name. Obviously we got to mention Joey Lees. We got to mention Wyatt Stinton. These are young boys from that area that I'm sure you saw little guys running around the rink. What does it mean to be champions? Together. I'm sure those guys just went to Bomber games when they were kids. To look in their faces and be champions together.
I've known these kids their whole life. They're in my hockey school. I think Wyatt and Mooks were stick boys for us for a bit, which is kind of funny. But the last time the Bombers won in 92, 93, they had 4 locals on the team. And for us to be able to do it with three locals on the team, it's extra special. You see their families and all their friends, and it's kind of the cherry on top for the community. But I'm excited for those guys. They just bleed maroon, and when you grow up in Flin Flon, you come to the Bomber games. This is where you want to play. I mean, you don't think about playing in the Western Hockey League or playing in the NHL and that sort of thing. I'm sure it goes through guys' minds, but you want to play for the Bombers. That's the most important thing, and for them to live this dream, and for Joe being here for 4 years and in his 20-year-old year, to be able to bring a championship back to Flin Flon is extra special for him. So good for those guys.
For sure. I got to apologize, Mike. I know you were trying to celebrate over the weekend, and I'm like, business. Let's talk business here. but fair enough. You were like,
that was like me asking Mike his thoughts on the Centennial Cup before he even got the trophy, and he was like, "Let's just get through tonight, okay?"
Hey, can I say? I mean, we're enthusiastic people, I guess. Mike, what can we say? But I do have to ask you, kind of in that vein. There were years, and obviously, you pay close attention to everything that happens. Where teams win the league and then they have to turn around quickly and find, how to practice and prepare and get on airplanes and all that. How important was it? And obviously the Yorkton Terriers are a great hockey team. I don't need to tell you, but to kind of get this done as quick as possible. Obviously everyone's trying to do that, but get it done so that you're not in as much of a rush, so that you have time to build these next, I guess, couple weeks before you go to PEI and deal with that.
Well, it's allowed us to really enjoy the celebration and the moment. We got back on the ice here today. You talk about preparation. Spent most of the day reviewing, Hockey Canada's emails and what we have to comply with and that sort of thing. And I'm just looking at my 2 assistants right now. They're busy on their computers doing pre-scouts and stuff like that. So, the preparation is already started, probably 24 hours ago. But for the players, we wanted to get them back on the ice and they had a little bit of fun today. And then tomorrow's going to be the real test of, are you over the celebrating and that sort of thing. We'll get back to it with a heavy practice tomorrow and that, but we've got a big celebration planned for Saturday night, a little bit of a parade and doing something in the Whitney Forum so that our fans can be a part of that. It's been nice that way for sure. Just gives us a little bit of downtime and for guys to mend their bodies and recharge. And the nice thing is we're finally going to have every guy back for the start of the Centennial Cup. And so that's really exciting. Leo Seitz skated today and he's feeling good. And, Kyle Marsden and Hudson Brehut and guys that were banged up are feeling a lot better. So we should be fully healthy for the Centennial Cup, which obviously puts us in a better position. And, it's going to make my job a little harder to decide who's playing each and every night. But that's a good thing. And again, back to, I know that every guy wants to play, but I know these guys are going to buy into understanding that, there's nights that maybe they're not going to be able to play and give another guy an opportunity. And hopefully we stay healthy and try to bring this back for Saskatchewan. We're well aware of, Melfort and Battleford having success there and getting so close. And, we're not just playing for Flin Flon now. We're trying to play for Saskatchewan and bring this back here. And there's a little bit more pressure. I told the guys yesterday, now we're playing for more than just Flin Flon. So we want to represent the league the right way. And it's good for everybody.
Yeah. You've been to some high-level tournaments, competitions in the past. So what are you drawing from your Hockey Canada experience, the Centennial Cup a few years ago, we're in Estevan? What are you drawing from those experiences that you personally can bring into this tournament this time around?
Well, I think for us, just understanding that, how the tournament works and sometimes you have to play a little bit of chess instead of checkers. Sure. And making sure that, you're giving yourself the best chance to get into the medal round and that you're playing a different team every night. It's completely different than a 7-game series. You can prepare for one team, whereas now we've got to prepare for our first 4 opponents and then, be able to adjust as we go here. And so I think that there's a real benefit to the fact that I've played in this style of tournament before and, draw on those experiences and be a little more prepared when we get there to know what to expect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, wait, we're going to dive in deeper on not this Thursday, but the Thursday after, Mike. So we'll try to get you back on then.
We'll save a little bit
we'll
more
save
of that.
We'll save the bigger ones, but yeah, it was really cool of you to say that, you know, representing all of us. Obviously, we're really proud of you guys and know you're going to do a great job. So thanks, Mike.
Yeah, no, we're proud of the SJHL. We're proud members, and we want to see the national championship come back here. I know watching, you know, Melfort and Battleford, you know, is rooting them on, even though we're going to war. And you know, I mean, it's sometimes not tough when you lose to those teams and then watch them be able to compete for a national championship, to be rooting for them. But I hope they're doing the same for us. And like I said, we want to bring this back to Saskatchewan and represent the league the right way. So our guys are focused, and we'll put the work in this week to make sure we're prepared.
Perfect. Well, Mike, we'll let you get back to it then. Congrats again. The narrative is over. We don't have to talk about it anymore. It's awesome. And we'll chat with you again soon.
Feels good. Thanks, guys.
All right, there we go, Mike Reagan. We're going to hit a break, and when we come back, X Gon' Give It To You is in the chat, as our director, Bryce, has mentioned. Xavier Fauchon is going to join us after the break. Stick around.
Feeling left out of can't-miss moments? RBC has programs and resources to help you open the door. RBC clients get access to concerts, Avion rewards, and exclusive benefits. Your idea of memorable moments happens here.
Each year, the SCSA issues over 10,000 training certificates to the construction professionals who build our province. That is the same population as Weyburn. Learn more at scsaonline.ca.
Every ticket you buy funds programs all across Saskatchewan, like arts and culture. Buy your tickets today.
Introducing SaskTel Student Saving Tips. Tip number 138. You could build your own pallet furniture.
So you're living on your own. You can save money by building furniture with pallets.
Or get Infinite 150 for only $50 a month with SaskTel Student Deals.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
All right, welcome back inside. Segment 3 here of what show are we hosting? The SJHL Weekly. I was going to say something else. I don't know what I was thinking of there. Anyways, we are going to be joined now on the video chat one more time by Xavier Fauchon here, the Flin Flon Bombers. Xavier, thanks for joining us today. Obviously, it's an awesome time for you. We were able to chat a little bit after the game there on Thursday night. Congratulations. We'll just start there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So it was obviously a pretty cool experience for you guys all around. I was thinking a little bit about how you had a few guys from Quebec on the team with you this year. What did that mean for you to be able to celebrate with those guys and have a little bit of that hometown feel, even though I know you guys all aren't from the same places, but have a little bit of that kind of Quebec feel to it?
Yeah, no, it was awesome for sure. I made the trip here with Maverick Delisle. I played with him for 3 years, and yeah, we kind of got texted this summer by by Regs, and he wanted us to come here. So we're like, yeah, that's a great opportunity to be able to play another year with him. And it was just awesome winning with those guys. And those two in the Tans, they were they're really great guys. And we had fun with them all year for sure. And it's a little clique for sure to be French guys in the team, but we're just trying to mix with all of the rest of the team. But for sure, it's a great feeling to win with them.
I got to ask you, Mike Reagan and kids from Quebec, I know obviously you haven't been paying, that much attention in previous years, but, does Mike speak French? Like, I know he was there, but in the years that they seemed to be the best teams, they had some really good Quebec players. Yeah. And then maybe got away from him a bit. Maybe that's why they didn't win, Xavier. Obviously, I'm just joking a little bit here. But just talk about, I kind of asked Connor Miller a similar question earlier in the show, but obviously, 20-year-old, but still, everybody's learning, everybody's developing. How much did Mike help your game?
Oh, he helped me a lot for sure, because I've always been more of an offensive D-man, I would say, but what he helped me through was my defensive game for sure. And what he said from day one was defense going to win championships. So you got to fucking learn. You got to learn.
This is a social media show, defense. Xavier. You can say whatever.
I know, but
we appreciate it.
You got to learn to play some defense. So that was my goal from day one. And I think with, like Reg said, 4 shutouts from Trit and 1 from Finn. I think it just shows that, of course, defense wins championships. So he helped me a lot through that. Mm-hmm. And he's hard. You can be mean. You can be saying bad things to guys, but it works. Yeah. And it's that's how you learn. We learned the hard way, and it shows that it works this year for sure. Yeah,
for sure. But speaking of being hard on people, there were a couple Quebecers on that Yorkton team that you and your partner, Ryder Knutson, were pretty hard on too, in Gabriel Corchain and William Leonard. I don't know if you knew them from back home or whatever, but it seemed like you guys were out there a lot against that line. I guess just talk about that matchup and how much fun it was, and how you and Ryder were really able to do a lot to take away what they wanted to do.
Yeah, well, I didn't know them before this year, but I kind of learned to know them during the year. We played a couple games against them, and in game 1, I talked to Nathan Munier, the other French guys that we have, and I was like, okay, let's chirp him the most that we can. Like, let's show them that, let's chirp them in French. Like, we can't do that here. We can't do that. We can't really do it in Quebec, but let's do it here.
Right.
And on the first shift, I think I talked with Corchain, and he was just so nice to me. So I was like, I can't chirp. I can't chirp him. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
And same thing with Leonard. So it was just, I think it was a good matchup. Tyler told us in the first game to me and Knutson that was a good chance for us to be matched up against their line. So it was a good battle. It was hard, I can't lie. Played most of the series on the defensive side of the puck. Maybe didn't produce a lot, but I was so happy to be able to shut them down.
Yeah, for sure. And I met them too as well. We talked a few times throughout the series. They are so nice. They're great kids. They're great players too. So it was obviously a tough matchup. But let's go back to Ryder Knutson for a little bit. Obviously, he came in January to your team, and it seemed like you guys kind of paired up right away. What was it about him that just you guys worked so well together?
Well, first thing, he was supposed to, he was billeting with Landon Alexander, but when he got here, the billet that Landon had was still here. So he had to wait for 2 days to go at their house. So he was staying with me for 2 days. And first thing he said to me was like, yeah, I think we're playing together this year. I was like, well, let's do it.
Yeah.
And we just bonded so well at first. He was sitting right next to me in the locker room too. So we just had those chats in the morning and just having so much fun together. So it was the same on the ice. We had a good chemistry, and we loved playing with each other. So I think we did a pretty good job in the playoffs. And no, he's just a really, really good guy. He helped me a lot growing my game. So I can only thank him for that.
And then the funny part is, Xavier, when we talked, I should say, about your defensive group, it was always talking about, man, they're all so big. They're all so big. They're all so huge.
Gorillas.
You see,
and they are, Clark.
Yeah,
they are.
You see Braden Bruce out there. You see Yakimchuk. You see Nathan. You see Nash Holmes. And then it's you and Ryder, and you guys are a pair, but you're, normal sized.
Normal.
So
you look like human beings.
Yeah, you look like normal people. What is? I'm going to ask this. I'm going to see if I can ask this the right way. What did playing with those bigger guys allow you guys to do as a pair? Did it open up the ice a little bit for you guys? Did it change anything? How did that go, playing with all these monsters around you?
Well, I think it helps for sure, because the teams just fear playing against those big demons. So I think me and Knudsen still are able to play physical too. So having those guys pave the way for us and still being able to play physical defensively, that helped for sure. And those Yakimchuk, Bruce, Marsden, I would not like to play against them with their long sticks and long legs, and they're heavy. So no, it was helpful for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No, I gotta. Obviously, we're gonna preview the Centennial Cup a lot more in the week to come here, Xavier. But I do have to ask you, now that we have you sitting here, you will face Collège Français there, and I'm sure. Like, do you know anybody on that team? And how excited are you to play a team from Quebec and show them what it's like, maybe a bit to play out in the SJ, or maybe it's a little different.
Well, it's funny because I don't know any player on their team, but Nathan Munier knows a lot of those guys, and he's not really friend with them. So
interesting. Juicy.
He told us about it, so we're ready for it for sure. And but I know a couple guys from other teams from Rockland. We have a buddy we played with last year, me and Mav. So we're gonna be on him, that's for sure, and make sure he doesn't score on us.
That's awesome.
So it's gonna be fun playing against old teammates, and we're going to make sure that they're not beating us this year.
Yeah, you guys can say all the words you want in French to the College Français team.
Hope it's not French referees, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah, be careful. Right. You got to be careful there.
Yeah. Smart.
Okay, so I guess we asked Connor, we asked Mike. Let's just hear from you. What's the plan of attack for the next week here as you guys get ready to go to PEI?
Well, we're ready to work hard in practice, that's for sure. We had a couple fun days. I think you can hear from my voice, but it was really fun. But now it's time to get back to work. We're having good practices this week for sure. But like we said, we're not satisfied. We want more. That's the mentality here. Everyone wants more. It would be awesome to say to everyone this summer, yeah, I'm a national champion. So that's the mentality. That's how we're going to attack this, and we'll be ready for sure.
Great.
For sure. I got to ask you, well, I guess I have two quick questions, if you'll forgive me. Lévis, your hometown, did really well at the TELUS Cup. I guess how cool was that for you?
Oh, I'm so proud to be an alumni from the Lévis Chevalier. The year I was there, we were in the finals too, and we had such a good team, and we didn't make it out of the finals. But I think if we got injured, we were sick. It was really, really bad timing for all of that. But I think if we would have made it out of the finals, I think we would have had a chance to win the championship. So I'm so happy for them, because last year they won in overtime in dramatic fashion. So it's so good to see them win it this year. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, for sure. Though people around here maybe not as happy about it. But anyways,
were they the ones that beat?
No, they were in the Patsy's won the bronze. Stay tuned for Nugs and Notes, everybody.
Yeah.
Last question from me, Xavier, is just take me into your mind when you lifted the cup. Like the guys around you, just that's what people dream of, obviously. So just take me into that moment.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like you never get used to that feeling. Like you always want it every year. That's what we play hockey for. So it's just an awesome feeling. And you see all those fans that drove down to Yorkton, and you think about it and you're like, yeah, we made it for not just for us, but for everyone in town here was so proud of us. So you lift that trophy and you're like, wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Xavier, yeah, you're hoisting another trophy in, let's say, 3 weeks' time. So congrats again.
Yeah, I hope so.
Congrats again, and get back to work, and we'll see you again when you're in PEI.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
There we go. Xavier Fauchon. Awesome stuff there. And I can't wait to see what kind of stuff he gets into against that Collège Français team.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. That Rockland
speaking
team is
of
good,
which,
yeah.
I know we're not going to do a full Centennial Cup preview yet because obviously we don't know everybody who's going to be in it yet. But we have a couple of notes, let's say.
Sure.
And you know a good point of the show to put in some notes is Nugs and Notes.
Oh, that was a good segue.
Thank you. I figured it out in my head as I went. It was kind of on the fly.
Well done.
All right,
Professional
Nugsy.
broadcaster over there.
Take it away.
There you go. Yeah. So as you said, people are like, oh, what happens next? May 7th to 17th in PEI, the Centennial Cup. Again, next Thursday. So not this Thursday coming up, but the Thursday after the 7th, which is actually the first day of the tournament. But we're going to do our preview show, I guess.
We'll do a little bit of a deeper dive
on that day. And hopefully we can do it in the morning before the game starts so that we can release it and have it all previewed and whatnot. We'll talk to Mike and others. Anyways, so we do know a good amount of the field. So if we could put up the graphic there of the teams, as you can see, there they are. Pardon me. There's Canmore, the AJ on the top left, Niverville in the middle with the red from Manitoba champions,
there, hey?
the Sudbury Cubs of the Noge. My old team, the Toronto Patriots, who I'll try not to gloat too much about, though I love a bunch of people involved with that organization with the Toronto Patriots and the Ontario Junior Hockey League down the bottom left. If I want Flin Flon to win it, but if it's not Flin Flon, then definitely them. Rockland, who has maybe been the best team in Canada all year. Collège Français de Longueuil there. And then the Maritime League maybe finishes tonight. Truro is taking on Edmundston. Truro's up 3-1 in that series. And then the Summerside Capitals there as well. The SJHL, by the way, on the top right, will end tonight. It's Game 7. Fort Francis is in that one. And they'll... we'll see if they find a way there.
A few teams that we're used to seeing.
Against Thunder Bay, pardon me. Thunder Bay.
A few teams that we're kind of used to seeing.
Couple teams, yeah.
We're used to seeing Rockland. We've seen them a couple times. Sudbury we've seen. Collège Français we've seen.
They were in Estevan. Collège Français was there a couple of years ago. They had a really bad time in Oakville, but anyways.
And then Fort Francis, we saw them last year, 2 years ago, I think, right?
I don't think so, no.
I thought they've been
Sue
there.
Lookout was there,
maybe.
not Fort Francis.
Maybe a couple years. Maybe
it's
it was
been
a few
while
years
for
ago.
Fort Francis.
Okay.
But,
and then Edmundston.
Edmundston was, but it looks like they're on the ropes with Truro. Okay. So there you go. Well, I'll really dive deep into all the teams.
Yeah.
So maybe move forward here. We got the schedule for the Bombers. There you see it. That's their group. It looks like it's going to be Collège Français. So as I said, Nathan Mounier will have some ammunition for that first game. And my old team, the Toronto Patriots, my good buddies, Michael Hoyt, their video guy, their in-arena guy, Dougie Ireland, who's unbelievable. Maybe only Jay Crockett's as good as him. Greater Sudbury, again, we'll dive in. They got lots of firepower. Probably Truro, very good team. A future NHL draft prospect. For sure in net for Truro if they get there, though he's dealing with a bit of an injury, I understand, but we'll get into that next Thursday. Let's move forward. Again, you see the schedule. The last couple Centennial Cups been painful and also awesome for the SJHL. A couple silver medals there for the Mustangs. Obviously, that great team with Josh Kotai and Kian Battle and company there. And Portage in 2023, losing in the final to Brooks. It was really tight with Collingwood a couple of years ago too in Oakville, Ontario. Last year was not so great in Calgary, but there you go. And then obviously the Estevan hosting Centennial Cup, but the Bombers were in, even though they lost in the finals, Estevan was hosting it, so the Bombers got the SJHL spot. And the Bombers lost in the quarterfinals to the Pickering Panthers on a very controversial goal in a game that I broadcasted from Estevan. And I think the Pickering stick was definitely above the crossbar and should not have been allowed in overtime. But There you go. Thank you to one
Steven
of our
even agrees.
guys in the back there, Steven. He definitely agrees. He saw lots
He
of
was
that.
at that game
As
at
well.
that tournament.
All right, so there you go. We just touched on the Centennial Cup. We'll have lots of content about the Centennial Cup. A couple of notes though about commitments and transfers. Obviously, a lot of news about the NCAA Division I portal. Jake Southgate, the former Balfour's North Star, he's going to St. Cloud. Kean Bell went from Acadia to Lindenwood. Michael Newmeyer, the former Kindersley Clipper, he's transferred to Western Michigan from Colgate. Kevin Anderson, former Notre Dame Hound, to St. Thomas. Noah Houle, the great Flin Flon Bombers defenseman, he transferred to SJHL South, Northern Michigan. There you go. Will Dawson from Air Force to Bemidji, another Notre Dame Hound. And then a couple other commitments we have here. Graham Brown, of course, the L'Orange Ice Wolves goaltender, committed to Augustana, who he played against and beat at the Viking Cup, which is interesting. Can't beat him, sign him, I guess. And then Wesley Golden to Ontario Tech in Oshawa, Ontario, in the OUA. And Joey Rocha of the Weyburn Red Wings to the University of Alberta, which is cool. Another U Sports and a great spot, of course, and he was great for Weyburn. And Colton Getzlaff committed to Minot State of D1 club hockey. So there you go. And then you mentioned the TELUS Cup. Lévis did win the TELUS Cup gold medal. They hammered Halifax in the championship there. The Pat Seas lost in the semifinals to Okanagan, I believe it was. If I got that one right. Oh, they lost to Halifax. That doesn't make sense. They lost to Halifax in the semifinal, did the Pat Seas, the Max. But then they beat Okanagan in the third place game there.
Right.
So they did win the bronze, Maddox, Schultz, and the boys, and as we said, 15 SJHL prospects. But Xavier Fauchon's Chevalier de Lévis are your TELUS Cup champions. So
very cool.
There's a long version of Nudes and Notes.
There we go, nailed it. All right, well, like we said, we kind of have, that's going to be it for today, for the most part. We do have one more show coming up for you before the Centennial Cup really gets going. We'll have that for you on Thursday of next week. That's, what did you say, May 7th?
Yeah.
So we'll have that for you. We're going to preview the teams. I think we're going to get some insights on the Alberta team and the Manitoba team from our friends in either side of the borders. And we'll give you a little bit more of a deep dive into Flin Flon and how they match up against all these teams they're going to face. Nugsy will have all the info on these teams and who they are and why they're good and why they made it here and all that stuff. We'll have a great time with it. But until then, enjoy the championship in Flin Flon. I know they're not going to stop partying for a couple more days. I know Xavier said, we had a busy weekend.
Michael worked him hard.
You could tell by his voice, but I mean the community itself, they're going to be celebrating for a long time. So enjoy that, and we'll talk to you again just before the Centennial Cup. Thanks to everybody in the back. Thanks to everybody with Bamboo Shoots. Thanks to these guys, Connor, Bryce, Steven. Thanks to everybody at Bamboo Shoots for broadcasting the finals. They were doing a great job. And they're all really solid dudes who you could tell that all of them, I shouldn't say dudes, they're obviously people, all of them really want to make sure that broadcast goes well. So shout out to everybody there on the SaskTel broadcast.
Austin Madness.
Austin Madness. Madness. Thanks to him for jumping in with our crew. Commissioner Kyle, Nick Shumlansky, who did a great job behind the scenes.
It was cool to get to know Nick.
Got to know Nick a little bit more. So shout out to those guys for doing all the behind the scenes stuff for the games and making sure the arenas were set up nicely with the cup that was not broken in the lobbies. It was not broken anywhere necessarily.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anyways, appreciate everybody for tuning in, you the fans, and congrats again to everybody up in Flin Flon and area for celebrating what has been a long time coming. Congrats. And the Yorkton Terriers, the fan base there, unbelievable stuff. They did a great job hosting those last two games, and I know for a fact, speaking to some people in the organization behind the scenes during our broadcast on the SaskTel broadcast, they will be back. The Yorkton Terriers will be back. They have something special going on there. So congrats, and we'll see you guys again next Thursday, and the Centennial Cup is right around the corner. Bye for now.
this on my team. If you talking and talking me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, I'm champion. The game is in trouble, I've been in my depth for the piece of the puzzle, I got it for real. Still keep me going, I wake up and hustle, you won't see me buckle, I've been in the field. Man of the town, you been in your fields, I'm adjusting this crown. Call me your majesty, either that or your tragedy. We shutting everything down. I've been high like somebody put a candle on them. Off top, I don't really stand opponents, this mine. The moment is, run out and start a bunch of pandemonium. More game, I got some, the skill is bar one, y'all done, the game in the coffin. Referee scream rest in peace, and think twice if you next to me. It's West. This ain't no regular thing. I came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean. This for my city, yeah, this for my team. If you talking and talk to me nice, I play with all of my life.